Hello, everybody. Okay, this is great for me to be here. Sorry, we have some technical issues. Uh, my presentation is going to be in Spanish. So if you need to, you can click on the kudo button so you can check it in English or the language you prefer. Okay. Okay. Matt is going to help me with my slides because of these technical issues. So please, Matt, if you can go to the next slide. Bueno, pues les doy la más cordial bienvenida.
Well, I welcome you all very gratefully. I'm very happy to be here, to be with all of you, showcasing something that I do love doing with my students, which is storytelling essentially. I do work with very small kids, mostly elementary school, early elementary school to be more precise. And one of the things that are most engaging to them, storytelling with Scratch units. In this particular case, what I'm adding is using real objects in addition to all the sprites that are being provided by Scratch Jr. Let me introduce myself. I'm Claudia. I'm Mexican. I work in an institution for women. We only teach young girls and young ladies. I'm a Scratch teacher. I do teach programming as well. We work with Scratch Junior with very small girls with Scratch, the other version of Scratch with younger ladies, and we do also all that sorts of programming with them. In middle school, they see Blockly, Python. When we get to prep school, they do see JavaScript, HTML, SSD, and so on. In this case, what I'm going to discuss is what we're working on with Scratch Junior. What I got here for you is our agenda for today. These are the items we'll be discussing. I'd like to welcome you first and foremost. What I will be asking is that you share with me on the chat where you're from, if you have already taught with Scratch Junior, which topics within Scratch Juniors you've worked on, and so on. We'll also be discussing why storytelling in Scratch Junior is a good thing. Later on, we will be working with the add real objects option, and you will be creating something actually here. It is therefore important if you do have a device handy, it could be the cell phone, an iPad, a tablet, your own personal computer, well, essentially any device that you have handy, you could use to open up a Scratch Junior. You could go ahead and install the app, download and install the app, whether it's an App Store, um, Google Play. This is what we'll be working on today's session. Let's begin. I'd like to first ask if you have already used Scratch Junior, how so, in case you have. Let me check on the chat. Well, if you could please add on, like I said, if you've used it, how you've used it, what do you deem interesting about things we could do with it, how would I move the original audio? This is what they were asking me in the chat. I'm getting help on that actually. Thank you. Very well. Next slide, please. Why storytelling with Scratch Junior? Why telling stories with it? Well, this is a very simple way to introduce our kids, our students, to get to know programming by what it is. Storytelling is, to begin with, something that hooks them, something that they like or they get quickly engage in. They always like parents or teachers for that matter tell them a story they can rely on and they're interested in. They do recognize in all these cases that a story has a beginning, a development, and an ending, a closure. These are steps that are easy to identify. If we were to introduce our students to begin programming with Scratch Juniors, we could do it in this way, with a simple story, that is. Next slide, please. This allows them to go along and make design their own characters. As we know, Scratch Junior does rely on a very huge gallery on sprite characters and different scenarios that could range uh, from any kinds of characters from the gallery. They could create their characters of their own in the editor. We also have different scenarios. We'll see that we have different backgrounds, beach, forest, backgrounds from space, even. But if I were to create a background with my own classroom from my own school or my own home, that is also possible. This is something we'll discuss in a few moments, and same goes with characters. We got animals, people, characters or sprites that of which we can change phases and replace them with our own phases. That is something kids particularly love. Next slide, please. Within Scratch Junior, we do have four available backgrounds. We only have four available backgrounds to create our story, but that shouldn't be a problem. If we're working with little kindergarten kids, one or two backgrounds will do it. That should be more than enough. And if we were to create something even more enhanced, better, we could use two files for more scenery. In this case, we've together with the second grade students, we have created somewhat longer stories, and we've put together this file with the next one within a video of its own, and where we can see the entire narrative. Next slide, please. Creating a story entails an entire process, and it does involve diverse actions. Firstly, students need to get their ideas organized. When you tell them, well, let's create a story, what would you like? And you flood them with ideas, and they're very enthusiastic about it. They go, hey, yeah, sure, let's create a story, but we need to rein them in so that they are able to come up with a plan and organize the idea. So we need to help them on that. What dialogues will they be using? What characters? What backgrounds will they be using? This can all be arranged and put together as a collaboratively in teams or alternatively individually. Eventually, what they need to come up with is to pick up the blocks. They'll be bringing the story to life with. This is where we're all going to meet. For example, this is a very short story. This is a kind of a snippet of the entire story they've been working on. These are kids from second grade from my own school. This is a very short story where the narrative is okay. They do narrate with their own voice and they put in the text, and they add in the different characters and backgrounds and scenarios. In this case, it's a background with stories and characters provided within the same gallery. Here's where we should let them create and let them choose. Matt, next slide, please. What other elements are important, or at least that you consider important to be able to narrate a story? For example, when we tell a story to whoever we're telling it to, our students, our kids, well, they do love the surprise factor, right? They love there being someone that eventually will take them by surprise. Could be a sound, a voice, a costume. If you're narrating a story, what they expect is that we interpret, we put flesh the character out ourselves, the warrior, the maiden, the fairy, whoever it is. And the same applies to when we're narrating a story within Scratch Jr. In this case, what we need to check or to be attentive to is what surprise factor we will putting into play. And that's where they come in. Next slide, please. What we got here, when discussing real objects, for them, it would be very cool adding an actual object. My favorite toy, my favorite character, the one I always play with, the cube. I like thinking over, brooding over, the drawing I just made for mom, whatever it is. We cannot add all of these things to the Scratch. Again, could be anything. Toys, favorite places, could be somewhere, a particular spot in school they're very fond of. Maybe the basketball court. We could go on and take a picture of the basketball court, and we could go on and create an animation, a background for Scratch. We could take a picture of anywhere in the school or nature, my pet, and so on, and be able to use all of this so that the story is more attractive, more appealing to them. When they do utilize these objects that are so significant to them, they engage far more when it comes to creating and when they get to tell their own story. As I was saying, one of the things that they like the most is actually drawing. This is so good for skill enhancement and development. These are drawings that we are able to insert within our animations as well. For example, I got these drawings of the girl with the jumper, her uniform. She just sketched it out on paper, colored it, and we then pass it on to Scratch so she could lay out her story. In this particular case, and there's an example in particular, the idea of the task with that they picture as themselves as they see themselves, as the things they like, and how they picture and they recognize their own skills. This was for her Spanish teacher to assess, and then on tandem with me, we created the animation. Eventually, we showed it to her parents, and it was a great event for the entire family, both the drawings and Scratch. We also did a video, Matt. Here, she discusses how much she loves gym and how much she loves school. This was done with second graders, girls. We also did a video with her drawings. We can actually bring those drawings to life through an app you may be familiar with already. An app that gives motion. We did another video, entire different video with it. Anyhow, this is the drawings of the stuff they like to share. Next slide, please. As I was saying, this is the first thing we get to do. Get them to make their drawing. Could be many characters, people, themselves, animals, whatever it is, whatever they feel like representing within the story. After that, while in Scratch Jr., we're adding an object. We go to the editor. We create a container with a brush. We just draw a line or any kind of shape, and we capture what our drawing would be. In this case, that's the drawing. This is the drawing in question, and it's already captured. Can you click the first one, please? Now with the object selector, we will drag all the points around the drawing itself, around the container. We could see all these different blue dots. We're going to shape it along. We'll let our little character here fit the silhouette. We're going to define the actual shape via these dots so they can shape their own characters. Now we have the character here, and we now are able to manipulate it, make it bigger, smaller, get the blocks in. So we can see some sense of motion. We can record voice. I don't know if you're able to hear what I'm saying, or I don't know if you can hear the audio from the video itself. We're now adding new objects into the picture. We got this ball, and we could move along, adding different scenarios, pictures, favorite objects, and we go on adding some sense of meaning as we add different visuals. We could eventually turn it into an animation with Scratch Jr., so we could take pictures of, I don't know, veggies, fruits from the kitchen, and you could explain them to me why you enjoy them so much on Scratch Jr. This is how we give meaning to the things we want to achieve, the ultimate task or goal of this practice. In this particular case, girls wanted to use these objects to represent how, as they got to touch the object, we were able to give it motion. In this case, they're touching the lens, and she's now telling something about the lenses themselves. As you can actually check the background on the wall, you can see a picture of Zelda, a very current character, which are all backgrounds they're able to customize. Whatever they got, whether posters or pictures they got in their own bedrooms, they can put on to the image, the graphic itself. Now, if what we want to do is make it a bigger, more complex, so to speak, story, or longer for that matter, we could do that too. Likewise, what we do here is utilize the same objects and creativity itself. This one, any single topic we want to put into a narrative, we can do. This particular one is about space travel. Let's click on it. If you pay close attention, in this particular case, I put my own face. If you can see the astronaut right there, and I narrate as we go along with the animation. You'll see the different characters as they uh, enter the story. We've captured the object, and we begin adding characters. Well, what's the story here? He wants to just uh, abandon Earth and travel to a different planet to solve a problem. We record the voice, we take pictures. That particular background is a picture from a book. You could download and paste pictures that you get from the internet. We could just open up the picture with an iPad and with the other device, add the different characters. That little star you see there spinning around, yeah, we'll eventually say, okay, to be continued. This is something you can showcase to and display to students and tell them, okay, now this is the moment you get to create your own story. Now is time for you to get your favorite objects, your favorite backgrounds, and put a story together. Next slide, please. Well, I don't know if, right now, whoever can do it, if you can come up with something you can actually create on Scratch Junior, what do you think you would be able to come up with? Anything, any idea for your students to create with objects? Anything you got handy, any object that you could use to be able to create something within the animated background. The thing is, I wasn't able to convert. Matt, I can see the share screen now. I wasn't actually seeing the button to share it. Now it's finally happening. I'm going to head to my own screen now. Matt, you, you can call it now on your cue. I'm going to try share my screen. Okay, I'll stop my share. I'm opening Scratch Junior now, so you can see how to crop. Need to share the entire screen. Can you see it? Hope so. Can you create something? What do you think? What do you say? crop objects. Now I can create a new object with a plus sign. Go into blank page. And I create a container. When you create it with the brush, we use a very thin line. Could be a soft color, very light color, and create a container. And we draw the object in. Now with the selecting tool, we click on it and we shape it. Dragging, releasing all the key points here. Giving much better shape to our chosen object here. Hope you're trying it if you haven't already. I'm going to click on the check mark here, top right. We keep adding new object. As I said, I already selected a few other objects. I got the little star, the ball. Right, using any background of our choice. Could pick any given image, or alternatively one that has been actually designed by one of your students. Anything that's ready to use. There's these bunch are already integrated into the program. And here we go. Kickstart our story. This is the way we cut and drag objects. I can head back and rearrange the blue dots if I didn't like it in the first place. You can draw them closer together, give it a better silhouette until it's perfect. And open the original background. I'm not being able to see your comments right now, but any doubts or questions you may have, keep typing them in. I'll check them momentarily. This is the one I showed you on the video. Here's the object, if you remember, and the other objects here as well, and the blocks, which means that students need to uh, go on and create their sequences as they move along with the narrative. The students for lower grades will not have that particular skill to be able to manage blocks, but they can certainly use them as a game for trial and error to be able to use them later. We can certainly give them all these skills and objects they can play with piecemeal as they get more advanced. That includes being able to receive messages to prompts for this or that particular action. something is overlapping with something else, but you can get the main idea here. It needs audio, it needs motion, real characters, their own background, the backgrounds of their choice, whatever they like the most. Gonna head to the previous screen if there's any questions on the board. What am I seeing here? Could you paste the link to the project so we get an idea? Sure, that's what it is actually about to do. Hi guys, working on it. Okay, I'm gonna get this little palette. So whoever is doing it, you can share it as video. Let me place it somewhere here. There are some problems with the Padlet, as I see, but I think it's getting fixed now. On this Padlet, what you can see is how you're able to share. Have you already created something? If you crop any object, what can you think of? What story can you come up with the objects you were given or that you chose? We do use iPads here as we do regular desktop computers. With iPads, it's pretty simple. What we do is just take a picture of the object in question and manipulate it. Uh, Actually, I was using my own computer, and it was actually somewhat more difficult using the mouse, but you can still do it. What are you guys creating out there? I'd love to see what you guys are doing, coming up with. We're gonna wait a few moments, see if you guys are doing anything. I'm gonna head back to the blog presentation in case anyone needs to see, explore. Won't let me. Just go ahead, it gives me a YouTube video again, so can't, sorry. So what do you think of this? What do you make of this? Creating stories with real objects. What are your thoughts? You tried it yet? It's pretty simple stuff, but that we, notwithstanding, not always know how to use or how to share. But if we work together in this, we share it, we might be able to streamline the process and get to use it fairly quick. Do let me know if you're doing anything at all out there on your own. Christina does not have ScratchJr on her computer. Julie is trying it. Javier is motivating us to use our own creative skills here. Christina plans on using these ideas with uh, her own students. Exactly. There is a desktop version, desktop computer version. Let me share it with you. Shelly says, I'm not sure how to share Junior with the app. How do you share them? Well, if you're using an iPad, this is how you can share. Just a moment. Let me get the link. On how to install Scratch Jr. on your personal computer. It is fine, thank you. I'll look it up for you here. I see some people working, so I'll be on the lookout. What are you actually doing on the Padlet and adding to the Padlet? And I'll check it soon enough. You can record your screen whenever you have the animation ready or story, whatever it is, and you can share in the Padlet. I'll share with you here in the chat.
If you need to install Scratch Junior there in your computer desktops, Windows, there you can find the file. It's a secure file. Pueden instalarlo en este folder. Aquí lo tengo, desde ahí lo pueden instalar.
You can install in the folder.
There is the Mac version 2. También ahí pueden encontrar la versión para Mac. El instalador.
That's where you can find the installer for Mac. Done.
Okay, thank you. Let me see the Padlet. Matt, could you help me with the Padlet? I'm going to...
Sure. Do you want me to share something?
Yes, please, you can you share the Padlet? If you click on the... let me open the...
If you send me a link, I am happy to share.
Thank you.
Are you going to paste a link in the chat?
Yes.
Okay, I'm standing by.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to approve this one. Here we have one. Can you see it?
Oh, is this the link? I see Michelle put a link in here. This Padlet link?
Yeah.
Okay, give me one moment.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you click on the on the one that is there, please. And if you can open it a little, thank you. Okay. Excellent. Here is a cropping object. Aquí ya está un objeto cortado y pues ya tiene ahí una pequeña animación.
We've cropped the objects, added a little animation. Even this entire cutting task really catches their attention. All these objects coming to life within the animation context, it's really engaging to them. Do try it if you have not yet. I don't know if anyone would like to share any of their animations. I got another one here. Let's try it out. Any questions that I may be able to answer? Something they were asking a short while ago. Let me see. How are we able to share on Scratch? If you got an iPad handy, or a tablet for that matter, something we can do. I'm going to turn it, flip it around. If we want to do is share any project, we can do it from this button right here. See it? This little yellow corner up here allows us to share projects. I don't know if that's where you're referring to. You can name it right here. The chamber project, in this case, my bedroom, okay, my room, my bedroom. And it will then ask us, okay, this is our parents button here. It says requesting a little addition just to check that it's us. Click on the result, and it now is now allowing us to share it via AirDrop if it's an iPad or via email. Here, these are both those options to share projects. What I do with my own students, they share it through the AirDrop, and I can access all their ongoing projects. Here's a few of their recent projects on the solar system, the planets, the Milky Way. Here, tap on the planets, they give us their name and move about a little bit. It's a science project, actually. What they did is design their own solar systems. So I can head back real easy and access all their ongoing projects or past projects for that matter. They're all here. I don't know if that's what you meant with the question on how to share. Check if there's any other question. Let's try this other one out. Okay.
Thank you.
1 minute.
Okay, in this case it says first grade students use their posters of the solar system for the background of their Scratch Junior animation. Excellent. Using the camera tool in Scratch Junior, students take a photo of their poster. Then they share their favorite facts about the solar system, coding with emotion, sound blocks, and more. Ah, excellent. Yes, great ideas, yes, that you can do to engage more your students. Ok. Muy bien, por aquí nos dicen, no tengo la opción para renombrar mis...
Well, I don't have the options to rename my characters. Is that so? You should be able to do it. Remember that for characters, all we need to do is tap or click right here on the upper part, and we get the name. And we can name our character right there. This little tiny spot. Very well. Anybody else who need to share whatever they got on the Padlet or any questions at all? Thank you, Chris. Chris has already placed for us here this link to be able to share all projects. Awesome.
Yes, one moment.
Thank you. Ok, pues. Ay, muy bien, están llegando más. There are
You're getting more questions.
for sharing your thoughts, your ideas, uh, and your experimentations with the Scratch Junior cropping tool. Muchas gracias. Ok. Bueno, pues, como les decía, de verdad, esto de...
As I was saying, this whole thing of being able to get our students to put together a story with Scratch Junior does allow them not only to develop their creative skills, also organize their logic for their sequences, what they're able to pull off is to be able to weave a story together from beginning to end. All of these are skills that they acquire as they use Scratch Junior. It's been a real pleasure to be able to share all of this with you, displaying all that I do with my own students. And I highly recommend all these using all objects that we may have handy, any objects that we may make it more meaningful. This is really important for her learning, her development. They need something, any object that or scenario, background, character, and they may relate to from real life. That's going to be far more engaging. Thank you very much. I see. Okay, I'm getting more comments. Yeah, do bring your colleague. Okay, bring all students together to working as a team. You know,
combine the subjects to create something with art, maybe to create something with science, with the teacher of history, I don't know. And we can create a transversal project, yes? Entonces, de verdad, hay que abrirnos y dejar que los niños creen, ¿no? Creen.
We do need to open up and let them open up. Okay, because there's no boundaries for their imagination and their creativity. You can get them to come up with real original stuff and very creative stuff as well. Okay. Um, readily available for anything you might need. Thank you so very much.
Networks. Sometimes I share information about the Scratch Junior, Scratch, and other things. So if you want to follow me, to have contact, yes. En lo que yo pueda ayudar, si en algo necesita.
If there's anything that you need, whatever I can help on, I'd be happy to.
Thank you so much for being here.